Hi, Chef Joe Crockett with Healthy Kids Inc. and today we're going to be making a baked white fish with broccoli and Asian dressing. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to prepare a little bit of a sauce to kind of bake our fish in. So I've had my pan heating over medium-high heat with just a splash of olive oil. We're going to go in with just a little bit of sliced garlic. We have some jalapenos that we have sliced into rings. You could dice them, it just depends on what kind of look you want to go for with these, but I've taken some time and removed most of the seeds. That way it won't be too spicy, but it'll still give us a little bit of a kick. I also have some basil, some olives, and some tomatoes. All of this is going to go in together, but I'm going to let these go for just a couple of minutes. Our oven is preheated to 425 degrees. While we're doing this, we also have our broccoli steaming, and just until it turns nice and bright green, if you steam it too much past that, it's going to start to smell bad and it's going to start to turn brown, and that's how you know you've cooked it just a little bit too long. Okay, so I'm getting just a touch of color onto my garlic. I'm going to go in with my tomatoes and their juice. Season this with some fresh cracked black pepper, a pinch of kosher salt, toss in my olives. I didn't have to use a whole lot of salt. The olives themselves are usually brined, so they have a little bit of salt content to them as well. So if you're watching your salt intake, which we always are, you can be mindful of that. I'm going to add this fresh basil in at the very last minute. Now, if you have some of the stems of the basil, you could have sauteed those with the jalapeno and the garlic. I didn't have too many stems, so the leaves are a little bit more delicate. So we'll add those in at the very end so that we get that nice fresh basil flavor. Now, I'm going to bring the heat up and let this start to bubble away. It says for us to simmer it for 30 minutes. If you have 30 minutes, great. If you have 10, that's fine too. Just remember, recipes are a guideline. We recommend what we think is best, but tastes, time, there's a lot of different factors that could influence a recipe, so don't always feel like you have to follow them to the T. So we're going to let this bubble away, let these flavors start to concentrate. We've got our tilapia over here. I'm going to drizzle just a little bit of oil over the top. I've got a little bit of oil in the bottom of my baking dish so that they don't stick. I'm going to start to break up these tomatoes with the back of your spoon. You can leave some texture to them if you want. Okay, so I'm going to add a splash of balsamic vinegar. The flavor of balsamic will pair nicely with the tomatoes. Get that nice and incorporated. Okay, again, like I said before, calls for us to do this for about 30 minutes or so. Just want to come back and give it a stir every once in a while, make sure nothing's burning or sticking to the bottom of your pan. Let that go for just a few more minutes. Okay, so in the meantime, we want to whisk up our sauce for our steamed broccoli. And in this bowl, I have some ginger, some soy, some extra virgin olive oil, some sesame oil, some balsamic vinegar, and some lime juice that you just want to whisk up so it all becomes incorporated together. But add a little pinch of salt and pepper to that as well. And that's going to go over our steamed broccoli. And you can see this has been simmering away. It's starting to thicken up. I'm going to bring my heat down. Now, I've cooked this over a little bit of a higher heat than the recipe suggested because I'm not going to give it the full 30 minutes. And that's a little bit of a trick. You can, as long as you watch it closely, you can turn up the heat a little bit. That'll concentrate those flavors, so you're kind of speeding up the process of letting it simmer low and slow for a longer period of time. Basically, you're going to end up with the same result. So I'm going to kill the heat. Set that aside. That is ready. I'm going to grab my baking dish, which has just a little bit of oil in the bottom. I'm going to lay lay our fillets. Alright, so we've got our fish in our baking dish. Now we're going to spoon this over the top. Alright, so I'm going to add my part of my fresh chopped basil in now. I'm going to save just a little bit to sprinkle on at the end. Okay, so now we're ready to put our fish into the oven. We're going to put these in for about 10 to 15 minutes, and it greatly depends on the size of your fillets. These aren't too thick, so they shouldn't take quite as long as say, a big piece of cod or haddock. So we're going to throw these in, and we'll come back and check them in just a few minutes. So we have our steamed broccoli. I'm going to whisk our dressing up just one more time, just in case it is separated. I'm going to pour it over the top. Give it a little bit of a toss to coat. Alright, and it's ready to go. Set that aside. We'll show you the finished product in just a couple of minutes. Alright, so we're going to check our fish. Grab a fork. Alright, and it is done. So we'll plate this up and we'll show you the finished product in just a couple of minutes.